Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lost My Pokemon Trading Card Game podcast. I am here with my amazing co-host Landon Catler. What's going on?
Oh, not much, Lucas. I'm here in the where are we? Library quiet room. I rented out I don't know what to call it, a private room in Dalhousie University because I am in Halifax, Nova Scotia, visiting my lovely girlfriend. How about yourself, Lucas? How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm still at my house. I'm not doing anything cool like that, but
Oh, that's okay.
this week's been kind of
Houses are
normal.
cool.
Yeah, houses are cool. I agree. This week's been kind of normal. Just been, I don't know, doing school, playing Pokemon, playing with friends. It's been cool. Uh,
Testing.
it's nice
I
to
know
not
you had some. Sorry, go ahead.
it's nice to not have to worry too much about regionals for a bit.
Yes, it is nice. We don't have anything till San Antonio. Neither of us are. You're not going to LESC, right?
No, I'm
I'm
not.
pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay, me neither. But other than regionals, I know you had a couple cups. I know we've talked about them, but I know no one else knows. How did your league cups go, Lucas? What'd you play? How'd you do?
I did terrible. Oh my gosh. My first League Cup.
Fair.
My first League Cup, I went 2-2 with Arcadura Mawile. I bricked the
Dang.
first two games, and I nearly fully bricked the third game. It was
Yeah,
just not a good day for me with Arcadura. And
not a good
then
day.
my second cup, I went 1-2 with the top 32 Bennett list from Lille. And I would have
That's
won the
cool.
cup. I would have won the cup, but I just got absolutely destroyed by Fusion Mew in the last round.
Sounds like a player skill difference there to me,
That's
but
true. Yeah, that's my bad. That's my bad.
yeah. Well, for me, I didn't really do anything Pokemon related on the weekend, as we know from last week, but I am going to be, for everyone's knowledge, in Halifax for this episode and next week's episode. So a little bit out of the ordinary. I guess this is the first time we've done video, so it doesn't look different to anybody else. But after the next two episodes, I'll be back in my home for recordings, so that'll be good. But I think what we wanted to start off today, Lucas, was some news. There's been some new cards that have come out. And then throughout the episode, we're going to be looking just at some of the decks we've been testing this week. And we've got a new game called the Sequencing Segment we'd like to introduce that we're going to be doing going forward. And then we're going to talk about some of the online meta tournaments and compare them to some Japanese results.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's start it off with Lucas has my face shrinked, I think.
Yes, I have. I have
Oh,
shrink your face. Sorry.
okay.
Sorry to everyone. I am just making it so Landon can see it. Sounds good.
Am
Testing.
I here?
You should be here. You should be
Okay.
good. Okay. Are you frozen? Okay, you're
I
not
don't think
frozen.
so. Okay.
You can
We've
move
got
on.
Charmander, or not Charmander,
Okay.
Charmeleon.
Okay. You might want to edit that part out. It's fine.
That's fine. Okay, so we got Charmeleon here. I think this is probably the only like actual good card that came out. Just an automatic upgrade on the other Charmeleons we have. I know we already have Jirachi to block Lost Mine hitting your Charmeleons, but having it built into the card is pretty good. I'm sure there's some other effects of attacks that will come up as well. Do you have any other thoughts other than this is just the best Charmeleon probably now?
No, not really. I think this is definitely the best Charmeleon. Doesn't you might want to consider though when building Charmeleon is doesn't the other Charmeleon have 100 HP?
It does have 100 hit points, so I guess it's kind of a little bit of a difference, like being able to dodge Moonlight Shuriken, right?
Yeah.
But
I
I
don't
guess
know.
the idea you'd probably have Manaphy in play anyways. Like, maybe no, you probably still have to play Jirachi. Maybe this isn't even the best Charmeleon because you already have to play Jirachi anyways because of your Charmanders and little dudes already. But I don't know. Regardless, this is just an evolving basic. Nothing that's going to make a new archetype. But I think it's the only card that we'll see probably widespread play.
Oh, for
What
sure.
was the next one we had?
We have Great Tusk EX.
Ooh,
So the
yeah, this guy's pretty sick. Go
this
ahead.
guy this guy's pretty sick. The ability is Quaking Destruction, which reads if this Pokemon is in the active spot at the end of your turn, discard the top 5 cards of your deck. And
That's bad
while
ability.
that's a terrible ability, but there is some reason to play it as you're just hitting 260 damage. If you're fighting colorless, and it has no downside. And you're
Yeah,
hitting.
well, I think the downside's the ability, but
Oh yeah, that's
this
true.
kind of reminds me of like Slacking V, like it's a little tankier, but Slacking's downside was not nearly this. Like Uh, I think the only way this is play is if there's a deck that wants to put 4 energies on a dude, kind of like an Arceus. But obviously this doesn't work with Arceus because it's not a V. And then maybe Path, or once Path rotates, I'm not sure. Because I don't think there's any world where milling the top 5 cards of your deck is worth 4 energy for 260.
I think Garchomp EX.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Garchomp is already going to be playing Path, most likely. I think Garchomp's a little underexplored, but this format's very new, and I'm sure we'll get to that at some point later. But yeah, not much to talk about here with this one. What's next? Unless you have more thoughts on the Great Tusk.
Oh, just want to mention, we had to cut out weakness when we were talking about this because the cameras just weren't working. This thing is weak to Psychic. So your Gardevoir matchup is just absolutely abysmal now because they just attack with a Gardevoir EX and you just absolutely collapse. So
yeah, the Psychic weakness is not great, but I think the next card is the Future Donphan, isn't it?
Yeah, we have
Woo!
Iron Treads EX, which is a
only one attack.
Pokemon.
Yeah,
only one attack, future Pokemon, 3 retreat cost, weak to fire, resistant to grass. For a Metal colorless, you do 150 damage, and you may discard a future booster energy capsule attached to the Pokemon. And if you do, it takes 150 less damage from attacks.
So it's kind of like a Goodra, right? So you'd have effectively 370 hit points, where Goodra would have 350. Yeah, but you do have to.
Oh no, wait, that's 270. My bad.
Yeah, it's 350. So I don't really think this is going to be huge either. Like maybe it could be a Lost Box, like you can Mirage Gate to it. Maybe it's like a basic Goodra. You play a couple of future boosters, but the nice thing about Goodra, you just announce Rolling Iron over and over and over again. You only have 4 booster capsules unless you're playing something like that Roseanne supporter to get them back. But I think this card definitely has more potential than the Ancient. What is it? Great Tusk is what it's called, I think. Yes. Just because being that tanky is kind of huge. We've seen Goodra be successful with that damage reduction in the past, but I don't think this card's going to be like meta defining. I think it like maybe sees play like in a deck. Maybe it's its own deck, but I think it's more of like a one of in like a future deck or something. But
agree. If future deck, you could justify Iron Treads.
Yeah, if you're playing metals, you got ways to power it up. Like I don't think this thing is dying unless it's getting hit for weakness. Yeah. I don't think much is going to be hitting 370. Or I guess there is Roaring Moon, but that card's good.
Yeah, that card's insane. You also got to think like Goodra had Moisture Star.
Yeah, Goodra has that as well. Yeah, Goodra's definitely a better card than this. I'm not going to say this is great, but I don't think it's unplayable. Like, I think the Great Dusk is pretty close to unplayable. Just that ability is so bad.
I agree with that.
How about our next one, eh?
Our next one is Junior Mime? I don't actually know what this card's called.
No, I don't think... Mime Junior. That's what it's called. Mime
Junior.
You go.
Yep.
Yeah. This card's not great. I mean, 30 HP free retreat. We like that. But you get to, for 0 energy, copy one of your opponent's attacks, but they get to choose. So they're just going to pick, like, Smack for 10 or something. They're just going to pick the very worst attack they have in play, and it probably is always going to be bad. So I don't think there's any deck.
But what if they go Rolling Moon Attach Pass?
I mean, then they just make you do 220 to them. Like,
yeah.
I don't think this card's great. I think we can move on from Mime Jr. I don't think we need to waste anyone's time with Mime Jr. And then the last card we have today is Kilowattrel, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe a slight buff to United Wings. Not that anyone really needed it, but it's United Thunder. It's not another modifier, but it does a 10 modifier to one of their benched Pokemon for 1 and colorless. So maybe a slight nice addition because you could snipe up to 110, right? Because you'd need the Wattrel down to evolve. So maybe it's a one of in United Wings going forward, but I don't think anyone's really thinking about United Wings at this point.
Oh yeah, I know I'm not. I don't think the deck is very good because of just the surplus of Lost Box within the meta, and decks can also handle you very easily. Gardevoir is just a 1 prize deck as well. So I don't really see why you'd be playing.
Plus, there's like Iron Hands would just demolish you, right? Like.
Oh yeah. You see an Iron Hands and you're literally just quivering the entire game.
Right. And then the last slide here on this, I don't think is a card, but I just wanted to bring this up because it's super cool artwork. I didn't realize that there's lots of cards that have been coming out. I think Mime Jr. is the last piece that all create one gigantic artwork.
Yeah.
Including Splovit, which is a fan favorite for sure. But this is a cool piece of artwork. I like that they're doing this. I think it's cool little thing. Maybe you could get all these commons together and just cut the pictures out and put them all on like a
Yeah,
paper or something and glue them on.
it adds a tiny bit of
Um,
lore to art.
yeah, exactly. It's something fun that I like to see that they're doing. And then I think the only other like news piece I wanted to talk about was if you haven't seen, Portland Regional's registration went up yesterday. Went up on that would be Thursday, right, or Wednesday night?
Wednesday night at
Wednesday.
7 p.m. PST.
But what Gallery Games has done is they've negotiated a Pokemon price for you to go. So you can directly go through the link that Gallery Games has on their Twitter and $125 a night at the venue hotel, which is awesome. And if the organizers want to keep doing that, that is so good because me and you, we usually room with a couple people, and 125 split between 4 or 5 people is light work, especially if you just walk downstairs into the venue, right? So that's a super awesome addition. I'm really happy to see.
Yeah.
Hope people continue doing that moving forward
Oh,
because
for
that
sure.
just makes events more accessible, right?
Yeah, then I know that some event organizers have done that in the past. Like you can get discounts using some codes, but having $125 a night in the venue
Yeah.
is absolutely
And it's so
amazing.
accessible. Like you just click a link and then you can book it right there. You don't have to jump through any hoops. It's just there. You can do it if you want to do it. I think your mom actually booked it already for
Oh,
us to maybe stay in because that is a good deal, especially when you don't have to walk. Like I know I've stayed at venues like Pittsburgh. We had to take a bus or Uber every morning to get there, right?
yeah.
Cutting that step out is awesome.
We tried to
But
bus. We tried to bus at Pittsburgh, but then the bus was like 20 minutes late that one time.
the bus system is terrible. No, it just never showed up. We took an Uber from the bus stop because it was so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, the bus just never showed
Um,
up. We waited like 20
yeah,
minutes.
the
Yeah.
Lost Mine podcast is officially a hater of the Pittsburgh transit system.
Oh, for
But I
sure.
like Lucas is moving us on here. We're going to be talking about just some of the decks we've been testing this week. This is my first edition, is Charizard with the TM Evolution. I've been trying this out this week. I think this is a super awesome way to rebuild the Charizard. We've got the Toedscruel in here, helps against the Chen-Pao. This list is not super out of the ordinary. Lucas, are you seeing anything here you'd like to point out that I might be playing that's kind of spicy or something?
I'd like to point out the Delphox.
Yeah, I've really been liking the Delphox. I was kind of skeptical because I really just wanted a second basic V for Forest Sealstone because it feels kind of bad just benching the Lumineon just to Sealstone it, which I've had to do.
Yeah.
But the Delphox applies a whole new other dimension of pressure to the deck, like especially with the counter catcher. I know we were testing this week, and remember that game where I counter catchered Mareep, evolved, charged my Delphox up, and then just killed both your Mareeps because I was able to play Arven to enable that combo while also gusting. Like it really, the counter catcher puts a whole new dimension on the Delphox. I think it is way stronger than it was in past iterations of Charizard. Do you feel any differently?
No, I think Delphox is super good now with Counter Catcher as you're able to selectively decide what two Pokemon you're killing instead of like,
Yeah,
oh, I'll
like
just do damage to the active and kill this.
right. It's the difference between Rapid Flow and Delphox's attack is huge, but it's pretty close to just Rapid Flow now because the counter catcher, like the art for Arvin for the two counter catcher is I felt like I always had Gust when I wanted it. The counter catcher in this deck is so awesome because you're trying to take that, go second, get the VIP, the evolution TM, and then go down that prize. And then ideally you can counter catcher and boss in a way that lets you stay that one prize card behind for the majority of the game. And then you have the live Defiance Band for that 30 buff, and you've got the double counter catcher just for having Gust whenever you need it. Just trying to think of any other standouts from the list. I know a lot of lists have been they've been playing 2 TM evolutions. I think that's fine, but most of the time I was Arvening or Town Storing for it anyways, and I'll take my chances on being prized. I just cut the second TM for a third rare candy. Because I like having access to rare candies a little bit more. Like if you had to discard a candy and you're only playing 2, only having 1 rare candy throughout the game is pretty sketch in my opinion. But other than that, I think maybe the Turos. We talked about the Turo, how I thought it was really good in Zard last week. I've been testing it this week, and it's been just as good as I thought it was going to be. Turns out letting your Zard take any amount up to 320 damage and just bring it back to your hand is pretty strong. Zard has a lot of hit points, so... Oh, Lucas, are you there?
You might want to talk about to the people that haven't been fully up to date within the community why you decided to include Toad's Cruel in your deck.
Oh yes. So the Toad Scroll, I'm not sure if it's worth it or not yet, but it's for mostly Chen Pao. It basically just says they can't superior energy fuel. They also can't Pokestop. Toad Scroll just blocks you from taking cards from your discard pile back to your hand.
Using
So yeah,
trainers.
yeah. So it turns off superiors and basically just makes Chen Pao unable to kill you. And they've been cutting cross switchers and bosses to play counter catchers. So if they're unable to get the Toad Scroll off the board with something like a Gust effect, then uh, I don't really see how they win the game without access to superiors, because 330 is not really an attainable number without those.
Yeah, at the very least, Toad Scroll is something where you can force them to go down to one prize because they have to target it, or else they're not going to win the game anyway.
Right. And then, I don't know, of note, I guess only other things in the list that are kind of interesting is I've got the splits of the evolving dudes. Like the Charmeleon I really like is good into Mimikyu, sorry, the 90 HP Charmeleon, because the 2 for 70, you can kill the Mimikyu and it doesn't have to discard energies like the 100 HP one. And then having access to Heat Tackle is actually huge now, because if you're playing against Roaring Moon and they French gouging your Charizard EX, then you just Heat Tackle for knockout,
Which is
which
the
is
attack on Charmander. Charmander has
yeah,
Heat
the
Tackle.
60 HP Charmander.
Yeah, 60 HP Charmander has Heat Tackle, which is 30 damage and puts 10 on itself.
Right. And then I'm also playing the Ember promo Charmander. I don't actually know what this is from. Maybe it's like a blister pack or something, but it is a promo. It just does 2 for 40 and discards an energy. That can have a lot of upside into Gardevoir, because if they're Shining Arcana have 100 damage on themselves, the difference between the Heat Tackle 30 and the Ember 40 is obviously important. So, and then obviously I think the most powerful Charmander is the Blazing Destruction. Just being able to bump path with your basic is pretty cool. But once we get more and more evolving basics in stage ones, you have to start thinking about which ones are optimal, because they can be the difference between win or loss sometimes.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane what min-maxing can do within Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
Okay. And then
crazy.
this is, I guess we're just going to do my 3 decks that I've been testing first, and then I think you had 2. So this is just my current Roaring Moon list. We're going to kind of take a little bit of a deeper dive into it later in the cast with the sequencing segment, but that'll explain later. But I think notable differences here, I'm playing the Galarian Moltres, which I've really found increasing my turn 1 attacks with the energy switches. It's basically just an extra 4 Dark Patch, which is sweet. I've got the water energies for Moonlight Shuriken. I don't think that's super uncommon at this point, but I definitely feel it doesn't take enough away from your consistency attacking for you not to have the Moonlight Shuriken option. I haven't really felt like the waters have hindered me enough for that to be cut. And then I'm still playing cross switchers. I'm playing the Pokestop build. This list definitely isn't perfect, but this is just where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And it's been working really well for me. The Galarian Moltres has been the biggest addition. Like in the sequencing segment, we'll see today that it was the only reason I attacked turn 1, and it just having that extra energy switch 4 of plus the Dire Flame Wings has been really, really nice.
Oh, it's super strong. I really like Moltres V. The more I think about it, at the beginning of the format, I was unsure on it, but Galarian Moltres V, just having another way to guarantee his
first turn. And I'm already, the energy switches have the synergy with the Greninja. It also lets you attack with genome hacking a lot more with energy switches, because you can do the double energy switch genome hacking play. And also, I found the Galarian Moltres, like into things like Gardevoir, can just be my third one prizer, because it just powers itself up. If I'm getting Iono spammed against some of those kind of decks that are going to be trying to Iono spam me, it's nice to have something that just passively powers itself up. And into something like Gardevoir, the Dark Weakness is going to KO anything in their deck, so there's no real difference between a Roaring Moon or a Galarian Moltres for your last 2 prize cards. So,
agreed.
Yeah, this.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I would also like to mention that I am cutting off the switch cart, so we do play 2 switch cart in this list and 2 water energy in this list.
Oh, I see. Yes, yeah. 2 switch cart, 1 rope with the 4 cross switchers felt like enough switch outs for me, especially with the dig of the Pokestop. You've got Squawk and Seize, concealed cards. You're seeing a lot of cards in a turn. I haven't felt like I'm whiffing switches. I guess not playing 4 Pokestop is kind of suspect. I'd like to have the 4th in. The list is just really tight, trying to fit everything I'm trying to fit right now. But if I was rolling up to a tournament, I'd be probably rolling up with something like 58 or 59 of this.
For sure.
I was... Go ahead.
I will say that I do think something we should talk about is the Iono in the deck list, because I know some Roaring Moon lists aren't playing Iono or anyone play Hand Disruption. I think that it is very, very good to be playing at least one form of hand disruption in your
Yeah, I
arsenal.
agree.
Because any
This
Lost
is
Zone deck. Oh, sorry.
okay.
Any.
I guess yeah. Playing Lost Zone in the past, like without a Roxanne or an Iono or a Marnie when that was legal, always just felt so bad. And you had to do it in some of those Lost Zone decks. But when you know your opponent's hand will just always stay there, and especially if they know you don't play hand disruption, they can just play however they want because they know their hand is always safe. But having at least having that one Iono plus the pal pads, you do have two potential hand disruptions. I think is important.
Oh, for sure. I would like. I say
Yeah.
oh for sure way too much, man.
I think that's a Canadian thing. People have told me, like, oh, for sure. Uh, I don't hear that a lot about, but I never thought about it that way because everyone I know just says, oh, for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh
So,
for sure, bud. Yeah.
oh, yeah, bud. That's
Oh
right.
yeah.
And then my third deck, and this has blown up in popularity all of a sudden. Like, I made all of these slideshows and everything we're using today before late night happened last night. There was 2 Snorlax stalls in top 8 of late night, which was like a 300 something player tournament. And then
I think there was 4 in top 16.
yeah, there was a lot of Snorlax stall. I mean, Snorlax is one of those decks that probably really benefits from open deck lists too, because like knowing exactly how many switch outs they play is like OP, because you can just know that this counter catcher wins the game or whatever. Like you know exactly what to play. But this is my list that I've been playing. Probably the biggest standout that's going to be different from other people is that Chandelure line. Chandelure has been awesome. This list originated from Shin. He was on stream in Toronto, and after the tournament, we were just kind of hanging out in our hotel room. We were rooming together and put some new cards in. But Countercatcher and Turo were the biggest additions from Paradox Rift here.
Oh for sure. Oh my gosh, I gotta stop.
But the Chandelure is awesome. Being able to actually apply pressure is. What was that?
I just said I gotta stop saying that. My bad.
We've lost. Oh. Being able to actually apply pressure, because when I was testing this without the Chandelure against anything really, they can just sit there and draw pass, draw pass, draw pass, draw pass, because they have no pressure other than the Misfortune Sisters. But if they have a couple of their switch cards in their hand and they know that you can't hit them with the Misfortune Sisters, they have no reason to just not draw their whole deck, then play the Judge, and then do things. But if you have Chandelure, and the way the Chandelure loop works is with the Turo. Chandelure, when you evolve it from the Lampent, it just mills the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, and then you can Turo, bench Litwick, and then every 2 turns you're able to mill 3 cards, which is an actual way to win the game, and it takes away kind of the out of your opponent just being able to draw pass, draw pass, draw pass, especially if they've won game 1 in a best of 3, then you actually have a way to finish the game instead of them just being able to abuse time rules against you, which is a risk that Control's always had, but the Chandelure kind of helps alleviate that a little bit.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. I think Chandelure...
Yeah, and it also, the only thing I have to say about the Chandelure is it lets you beat opponents' Pidgeot Vs and Squovits, because if your opponent has either of those cards, they can never deck out, but if you're able to actually take cards out of their deck with the Chandelure, then they don't have infinite deck like they did before. And the only other thing maybe I'll talk about with this list is we have the 4 Misfortune Sisters, just because it's really important into the Lost Box matchups because they have so many switch cards. Being able to spam the Sisters really helps you take out the resources, right? They play a lot of items. You're going to hit probably upwards of 2 or 3 on most of your Sisters against Lost Box in the early game. And then, what else? Yeah, probably the Beach Courts are something other people aren't playing. I found the Temple, it's mostly for, obviously, Lugia, and then Giratina V-Star is a really tough matchup for this deck, because Shred plus Jet Energies plus 8 switch cards, right? That's really tough. But the Beach Courts are kind of good and better into, like, everything else, because you're able to retreat your Rotoms, your Pidgeot, your Mimikyu, your Litwick, that kind of stuff. You more so just need the Path Bump, and I like the 4th Stadium for that reason.
Yeah. I know that Path really hurts Snorlax because of the...
Yeah, the Rotom is so important. Like, if the Rotom's not in play and you're not able to build the hand, like, the deck feels way weaker. I would ideally like to build real draw supporters in here, like maybe like 4 of Colress, but I just haven't found the space for that yet, and I haven't really deemed it totally necessary. And then maybe the last thing I'll say on this, because we're going to talk about this deck again later, is Beach Court is cool tech into the Minior. I know people have been playing Minior to counter Snorlax because its attack for 1 energy does 20 for each retreat cost they have, right? I think that's what it does. And for 1 energy, and its ability, they basically printed this card to beat Snorlax. Its ability, when you attach to it, you can bring it active. So if you don't play a counter to that, then it can pretty handily beat you, because even with the cape or the charm, uh, oh, this list is wrong. Sorry, this list should have one of the luxurious capes in it as well, which is the 100 hit point tool. But the Beach Court makes them only do 120, so they can't kill a non-tooled Snorlax, and they can't two-hit KO a caped Snorlax if you have the Beach Court in play with the Minior, which is a cool little addition that might help you beat that tech if people are deciding they want to be playing it.
I will say, as of right now, it might be worth it in an online tournament, but I think after the kind of Snorlax hype dies down a little bit, I do not see Mew being a worthwhile tech. I feel like there are much better things to tech for in the meta, like Fusion Mew with Spiritomb or...
Oh, totally. Like, if you're looking for a one-card tech, you should 100% be playing Spiritomb or Drapion over a Minior. Unless you're already having a really favorable Mew, I guess. There might be some niche decks that want that Minior in it, but I don't think that if you're a Snorlax player, I don't think you should be fearing the Minior unless you're playing online tournaments, because people might have that knee-jerk reaction from the late-night results. But I think I'm happy to move on to your deck here, Lucas.
Okay, so deck number 1 that I've been testing is Iron Valiant Entei. So...
Oh, I see you haven't changed this, though.
What do you mean? No, this is the updated from today.
Okay, sorry. I'll let you talk about your deck.
So yeah, I think you're thinking about the other Iron Valiant list that I had.
Yeah.
So the reason that you play Entei within Iron Valiant is that it is a consistent turn 1 attacker when you pair it with Magma Basin and Jet Energy. So I think what Landon is talking about is that he thinks I should be playing a Earthen Vessel in my deck to be able to get rid of Fire Energies more easily, or Ultra Balls.
I agree.
I haven't actually been finding much of a struggle with it, because you can Squawkabilly on the turn 1, get rid of a Fire Energy, or you can research your Fire Energies away. I will be testing the Ultra Balls within the next week, but right now I haven't been having too many struggles with it, so I don't know if it's on the top of my priority list to add it to the deck. The deck felt really good into all of the baby 1 prize decks, the decks that need to set up their baby Pokemon on the first turn, because obviously that's what Iron Valiant's strong into. But surprisingly, this deck also hasn't been taking bad matchups to Lugia, which you would think is your worst matchup, because you would attack with an Entei, and they can't deal with an Entei. So your Entei actually is able to take a knockout, other than, most lists, when they're attacking with Iron Valiant, they're just going to get easily KO'd by the Lugia. But Entei is a very tanky attacker, too, which adds another level of, difficulty when you're trying to deal with Iron Valiant. Being able to...
Yeah. I think that Entei really synergizes with Iron Valiant well, like you're saying, being able to attack going second with something that does, like, a decent chunk of damage. You're probably able to fill your own bench, so you're doing at least 120. They're going to have at least something. So here you're doing upwards of 120, 140 a turn 1, plus all your Valiant pings, so you can maybe even reach into like an EX Pokemon going second too if you need. Or it's not a big deal if you don't KO them, because later you can pick up the KO with the bits from Valiant. But going back to what you're saying about playing like Ultra Balls or Vessels, I think at least one Vessel, like just cutting a Fire Energy for a Vessel, or I think you just need an item source to discard cards, because like mid-game, say turn 2, your Entei doesn't get knocked out, and then you want to use Basin again, but you're kind of stuck. I just think that would be a cool addition, but that's my only comment on the list, I guess.
Oh, for sure. So one more thing that I want to talk about with this list, there might be a few things that I want to talk about after this, but Bravery Charm. Bravery Charm is a not very common card in these deck lists, but I feel like Roaring Moon is your absolute worst matchup with this deck if you don't play Bravery Charm. Bravery Charm allows you to tank a hit from a Roaring Moon if they don't use Frenzied Gouging. And I'm pretty sure most Roaring Moon lists don't, some of them play Lost Vacuum, but a lot of them do not play Lost Vacuum. So you're forcing them to, if they play Lost Vacuum, hit their 1 copy of Vacuum. And then you can also have a second Bravery Charmed Entei on the board, or you're forcing them to Frenzied Gouging. If they're going to Frenzied Gouging, then you can maybe pull off, your Tachyon Bits, Yogaloot plays. You can put 20 damage on some Roaring Moons pre-attacking with Entei, putting up a Bravery Charmed Entei, so that if they Frenzy Gouging, they're at minimum 220, and if they have a Charm on them, that just means you have to go 3 Iron Valiants and a Yogaloot. But you can also just vacuum away, the ancient booster capsule, and then go Tachyon Bits Yoga Loop, killing the Roaring Moon, and then being able to swing into a new Roaring Moon. You can pair that with Radiant Zard, and you can go Yoga Loop, Radiant Zard, a Roaring Moon, and then you can sometimes swing 4 prize turns against Roaring Moon.
Oh yeah, 100%. The Yoga Loop is so sick. I know we were talking about the Bravery Charm. Are you talking more like if they're bossing your Valiants? Because Entei already has 230.
Well, yeah, but you also got to think
Like
you're
Charm
base
280 is
baiting
just
to it.
a
You're using base
Oh,
to
right.
Entei, so you're
I
putting
totally
more
forgot about
damage on
that.
the Entei.
Right. No, you're right.
So Bravery Charm on the Entei has been very, very
Oh,
good.
okay. That's very important then. I totally forgot about the base and damage. I was just confused the way you're wording that because you're saying 220 and I'm thinking the 230 number. But yeah, Basin definitely affects that math.
Yeah. Bravery Charm's also just a good card in general. Makes your things tankier. Your Radiant Charizard can go to 210 HP, which can
Mm-hmm.
force,
Yeah, that's a big number for a one prizer.
like
Absolutely.
into Lugia, they then can't attack with the Snorlax. They have to attack with a 2
Yeah, no,
prizer.
that's huge. If they have to kill your Zard with a two prizer.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, so that's
yeah.
that's all I really have
Yeah,
to
no, I
say
really
about
like
it.
this deck. It's a lot of early pressure, but I'd actually like to try this more a bit too. The more you talk about it, the more it seems pretty appealing.
Yeah.
But what was your next deck that you've been testing this week?
Sablezard. So I've been testing Sablezard
Mm.
not a lot this week. I picked it up a couple days ago, and I played it to late night last night, and I did pretty well at late night last night.
How'd you do it late night?
I started 5-0,
Oh.
but I mean, to be fair, my first 5 matchups contained 3 Goldango, so yeah, which is a pretty good
Yeah,
matchup. They all played Jirachi
I
though.
believe it.
Well, no, one of them didn't play Jirachi. I'm gonna talk about Jirachi more in a couple
That's
minutes.
what the. Okay.
That's what the what? What's going on?
I was just thinking, I'm seeing the counter catchers here, but I was thinking like catcher cologne, but that's ridiculous.
No, I mean I was thinking about that too, but it just seems kind of
Yeah,
gay.
how do you address Jirachi with this deck? Like, it seems very hard to deal with.
It was very hard to deal with, but during late night, if they put down a Jirachi, I would just attack with Spit innocently, Combustion Blast, and I would
Hmm.
still be winning the prize race. Like into the Goldangos that played it, I would just counter catcher kill 2 Goldangos with Radiant Zard. Like there was even a game where the Goldango didn't play Hand Disruption. I was ahead by 3
Hmm.
prizes, and I just let them take 4 prizes so I could counter catcher a Goldango and kill it. Like
That's funny.
it was really cool for sure. I would like to talk about as well. I hit the same guy playing Gardevoir twice during the tournament, and he played
Hmm.
Turos, Palpad, and Jirachi. So
Hmm.
it was really difficult, and those were 2 of my 4 losses that I ended up taking.
Yeah, that seems atrocious. Yeah, Turo I think is really good in Guardy, but we're
Yeah,
talking about Sablezard, I guess.
I think if you're playing Guardy right now, I think you should play Jirachi in it because your Lost Buzzbox
Yeah.
matchup
Oh,
automatically becomes so much
100%.
better.
I really like Jirachi in a lot of decks. The more I play with it, the more it Sable like Comfey decks in general with Sableye are not dead. They're very much still around, and Jirachi will be a very worthwhile tech card for you. Another tech that's better than Minior for most decks.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah.
Jirachi will give you a lot of value, especially in your 1 price setup decks.
Hmm.
But I would like to talk about my losses a bit. So I
Yeah.
had 2 of my losses to the Gardevoir player, and then I had a loss to Fusion Mew. Fusion Mew matchup
Hmm.
was so tough because I do not play a single Mew tech, and
Right.
I'm going to make that change. I'm going to make that change. I just wanted to show you guys the list that I played to late night last night. That was because that's where the bulk of my testing went to with this list.
Hmm.
But I think you should be playing a Mew tech within this deck.
What do you think's better, Drapion or Spiritomb?
Probably Tomb because it's a 1 prizer. I
Yeah.
mean, you could just Tomb.
And the Tomb has like upside into another one of your bad matchups, I'm assuming, which would be Lugia.
Yeah, I didn't actually hit any Lugia, so I don't have.
Yeah, Lugia historically has just had a really good time to Sablezard variants, so I wouldn't see how that would change much, especially with Iron Hands. But that's another good point. Like the Radiant Zard seems really strong into the increase of Iron Hands, just because you have that one prize answer to that Iron Hands, right? Like, did you play against Iron Hands?
I played against 1 Iron Hands, and it was against a Chen Pao. That game was so sad, man. I lost to that deck, but the 20
Uh-oh.
Iron Hands, I was able to go Radiant Zard, Raihan, DTE, kill the Iron Hands.
Nice. That's sick.
For everyone
Yeah, that's
watching,
sick.
for everyone listening via podcast, I just want to mention a few cards that I will be talking about within the next couple of minutes within the list, which is Mirage Gate. I play one copy of Mirage Gate. I play one copy of
Mm-hmm.
Double Turbo Energy, and then I play one copy of Technical Machine Devolution. I play a Jirachi and a
I
Manaphy.
was gonna ask you about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I play two Raihan. So yeah, into the Iron Hands, I went Raihan, DTE, KO with the Radiant Zard because it was the first two prizes that they took. That
Right.
game I ended up losing because I missed a counter catcher or a psychic energy to knock out a Chen Pao that I did damage to early on in the game.
Mm,
So then I ended up falling too far behind, and I lost on technical machine on as my first lost zone of the game, which ended up kind of.
TM seems pretty good into Chen Pao too, because you could check their rare candies for like how many they have left and just kind of win immediately, right?
Oh yeah, like in some positions you're definitely able to just TM Devo, get rid of all their baxes, and then if they have one candy
Yeah.
remaining, you can just counter catch or kill it, and then that matchup gets a lot better. I have to test the Chen
Yeah,
Pao.
that matchup seems decent.
The matchup's
Yeah,
gonna be
absolutely.
very
But just on paper, the matchup seems all right. Like you've got the answer to the Iron Hands. You're able to sable all the little guys away, and then the Chen Pao EX itself is not going to be doing very much into you. You just might need to be careful if people are still playing clones, but that doesn't seem to be as popular.
Yeah, I know some lists are cutting it for the counter catcher Iron Hands, Lightning Energy
Hmm.
combo, because
Yeah,
that's their tech now into Lost Box. It's to Iron Hands.
yeah. Actually, I'm thinking about it, and I know we were talking about the Sam Huff list that I played against in Portland last year. This actually looks quite similar. Like he was playing the one Mirage Gate. He was playing a high carrot Pokey Gear count. I think he was playing four, but I really like Mirage Gate in this deck because I don't know about your experience, but being able to play the gate, put the energy on the Comfey and the energy on the Sableye, and then just retreat is so nice. Like
Oh,
it's so
so
sick
nice. When you're able to
because
do
it's
that,
like
yeah.
an attachment plus a switch card. It feels like you're having playing two cards for one with the gate.
Yeah. And I can vouch that even when I'm not using gate, I will attach to my benched Comphase whenever I can. Because
Oh yeah,
it's just a pivot. It's so nice, for
right.
sure. I liked this list last night. There's a few changes I'd like to make, like the Spiritomb,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to test each
What
of
do you
them.
think you'd be cutting for the Spear Team?
I don't know, man.
This
I
looks
don't
tight.
know.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
this
see an
is
obvious cut
super
either,
tight.
but
I mean,
that's fine. We can just say we want to add the Spear Team.
yeah.
There's always a card I want to add to my list, like I didn't talk about, but I want lots of cards in all my decks.
Oh my gosh.
You can't have them all.
I wish we could play 62 cards.
Always wish I could play 62 cards, Lucas.
Okay.
Does that wrap up, you think, your thoughts for Sablezar? Do you have more things you'd like to say?
I'd like to shout out using Sableye one time within, I think, the first 3 games. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to be moving on. I am going to. This is a new.
The sequencing segment.
The sequencing segment.
I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited for this, guys.
Sequencing segment
So,
is crazy.
yeah. Maybe I'll give us a quick explanation of what the sequencing segment is. So, I've noticed on a lot of other Pokemon TCG podcasts that they have like a mid-episode game. It's kind of nice, breaks up the episode into like 2 halves almost. But I don't mean to say. I've just noticed no more games. We're trying to make this a game, but also a bit educational, right? So the concept of the sequencing segment is we've got this is my Roaring Moon deck list, and we're going to have an opening hand on PTCG Live, and we're just going to talk about how both myself and Lucas would sequence the turn. Maybe we have a little bit of differences we'd like to address with how we'd sequence it, but we're going to talk through that, and then we would very much like to invite you in the comment section to see how you would also sequence the turn. And then we've got multiple screenshots of what happens after we've drawn a couple cards, like say I have concealed cards or Squawk and Seas or whatever. And then just continually how we do it. And today we're going to be doing Roaring Moon. Next week will be a different deck. We're going to try and do a different deck each week. But just like a thought-provoking exercise that might help you with your sequencing as well, because that's a really, really important skill in the Pokemon trading card game. Did you? Do you think I missed anything with this?
I do not think you missed much. I would just like to say that this is the same Roaring Moon list that we talked about earlier on. So, yeah, let's get into this. So,
Yeah.
The first slide shows the opening hand for Roaring Moon.
Yeah. So
we are going second as Roaring Moon, and the opponent's active Pokemon is Hisuian Electrode V. They're playing Cloth. I like it. And I would like to.
oh, 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 wait, off. Weren't you talking about last week? Where your cloth testing go?
You lagged so hard, man.
This
You made me
guy.
please
I
my
tell you
computer.
guys. I said, "Where's cloth?" You were supposed to tell us all about your cloth testing this week.
I lost the 3 Charizard EXs in a row, and I just was like, you know what? I don't want to commit my energy to this anymore, man.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Sorry, continue. I cut you off, but I just thought I had the cloth thought.
Nah, it's
So we're going
okay.
second against this electrode here.
Yeah, so we're going second against an Electrode. The board is opponent has a Hisuian Electrode V in the active and a Brute Bonnet on the bench with a Dynatree Hill as the stadium. Our opening
Yeah.
hand is we started Roaring Moon. We have Radiant Greninja, Dark Energy, Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, Cross Switcher, VIP Pass, Energy Switch, and Professor Sada's Vitality. So,
Right.
I think.
So the obvious goal of this turn is to KO the electrode, right? If we don't KO the electrode, they're very likely, with grass weakness, going to be able to knock us out in return, and they're going to be way ahead. So the end goal of this turn is to knock out this electrode.
Yes. So, I think.
So how would you start it off?
I don't know. I have 2 routes that I'm thinking of. I think we
There's only really 2 ones.
Well, I don't want to hear it, man. I think we either battle VIP Pass first for Squawkabilly Moltres or Squawkabilly Roaring Moon, and then we Greninja, or we Greninja first, trying to hit either Squawkabilly, Galarian Moltres V, or the Roaring Moon, and then we VIP Pass for the other pieces.
Right.
think-
So go ahead.
Okay. I think in this situation, because of my extend I've played a lot of Lost Box. So my brain is kind of hardwired to Greninja before VIP Pass going first.
Right.
Or on the first turn, so that I can hit more Pokemon. And I think
Right.
that works in this situation too. Because we're trying to hit one of 3 Pokemon so that the VIP Pass can grab the other 2. But I think we also got to think, if we VIP Pass for Squawk and use Squawk, then we can preserve the concealed cards and get more energies in the discard for a future Professor Sada's Vitality. Or,
Right.
with this concealed cards route, we can also conceal cards before we Squawkabilly if we use VIP, so that we can Sada's Vitality. What do you think, Landon?
So the next slide is unfortunately determined. This was my screenshot. I went concealed cards after the VIP pass myself. I went VIP for Roaring Moon plus Squawk. The idea being is I was trying to concealed cards into something like an Earthen Vessel or just another way, because I have the Energy Switch and the Sadas in my hand. But I think in retrospect, I think that the concealed card before the VIP is right, because then if I hit the Roaring Moon or Squawk off those 2 cards, then I could get the VIP for something else. Before or after the concealed cards. Oh, did I lag? What was the last thing you said?
The last thing
what
you
do
said was that you could VIP pass for the other things.
Yeah, like if you conceal the card first, draw the Squawk or the Roaring Moon or the Moltres, then you can VIP for the other 2 missing pieces. I more so was thinking, like, if I thin the Pokemon first, then I'm more likely to say concealed into like Ultra Ball plus Dark, or basically a way to activate the energy switch in my hand, because I'm just trying to get to the attack, right? But I think that concealed cards before the VIP might actually be the way. I think you're right.
I was the one to bring the idea to him, so I'll take
Yeah,
I'll take
he
full
was.
credit for it. I'll take full
I
credit.
am totally open to being wrong if it's the better way to do it. I have no aversion to correcting my mistakes. So
Nah.
I think we can move on. So yeah, so this screenshot is then showing in the order that I did it. I played this game. I went VIP for Roaring Moon plus Squawk, and then I concealed cards into the Mew EX in the second booster capsule. So I think the obvious thing to do here is play the Sadas. The only question, are you Sadaing to active or the bench here?
I would Sada to the active, so that it makes it so
I agree.
have to hit less things off of.
Yeah, well, the argument for going to the bench is if you draw the Dark Patch at some point later in the turn, is you're able to Dark Patch to the bench one and then play the switch. But with this list, since we're playing the Moltres and the energy switches, we're able to go Sada's energy switch to the active, even though we didn't get the 2 energy for the Sada, because we can get the energy and play later in the turn. So I did Sada the active for transparency, but I do think that Sada to the active is correct, but it is definitely worth thinking about going to the bench. So this screenshot is now showing after we played Sada to the active. Not a whole lot going on here. You might think we want to cross switcher into the free retreater to open up our plays, but we're trying to KO the Electrode this turn, so we do not want the Brute Bond in the active. I think it's pretty obvious that we're just going to attach both booster capsules, bench the Mew, and then Squawk and Seize, unless you disagree.
I do not disagree with that play. I think that play is correct for sure. Your cross-switching point is extremely valid for sure. Benching the Mew EX is just good because, I mean, if you are going down to a 0-card hand at some point after this sequence, you could restart and try to hit the combo.
Yeah, and we will see the restart later in this turn. It's also really nice just to have that free retreater, like I was saying with the Dark Patches. Like, if we had just a switch in hand, totally we switch into the Mew EX here, because it just opens up the Dark Patch to that Roaring Moon that has the energy already. But seeing as we don't have that switch, we can't do that. But it's also worth having in play for that reason.
For sure. So
yeah, this is the next screenshot. Yeah.
Next slide shows after Landon has used Squawk and Seize. The hand is 2 Ultra Ball, Energy Switch, Cross Switcher, Earthen Vessel, Dark Energy. So I would like to say, I just want to give, the people in the chat waiting, like not the chat. Oh my gosh, I'm thinking of a live stream. My bad. The people who are listening to just think for a second, like, what would you do in this situation with your hand being double Ultra Ball, Energy Switch?
Because this hand has attack in it, if you do it the right way. It's not that hard to do, but this hand definitely has attack. I can say how I did this, because I think I did it correctly, but I Earthen Vesseled here, discarding the Dark Energy. We need a Dark and discard for the Direfling Wings regardless. So I Earthen Vesseled, discarded Dark, got Dark. Very possible I should have gotten Dark Water, but that's a slight difference. And then I played the Ultra Ball, discarding an energy plus a second Ultra Ball. I wanted to conserve the Cross Switcher, and I needed the attach in hand. And then I got the Moltres, used Direfling Wings, energy switch to the active, attached to the active, and then was able to use a restart for an additional 2 cards, and then was also able to take the knockout, which was the goal of the turn.
The goal of the turn was met by we should have Greninja'd first, we think, but...
Yeah, I mean, there was some slight differences, but that's the whole point of this exercise, right? Is trying to think about how we sequence things, because if we do one thing differently this turn, is the difference between us attacking and not attacking, which is very likely the difference between us winning and losing, which is small decisions like that, which affect your win rate, your records at big tournaments, little tournaments, might even be by a couple of percentage points, but those add up over the long run of playing.
Yes.
So we can probably, unless Lucas, you think there's any other way to discard that, maybe a different Ultra Ball pitch, we could probably go to the next slide, which is going to be...
I would like to say that the small decisions do indeed add up. I remember Landon telling me at Salt Lake City Regionals 2022, he was like, I'm just going to try to play in a way where I'm making the best decisions every turn so that I have like a 1% chance higher to win the game, because throughout, 9 or 10 rounds, that means I have a 10% higher chance of winning a game. And
right. Yeah, it adds up. If you've got that extra 1% over 15 rounds, plus top 8, plus every game's the best of 3, that 1% is probably going to be an extra win on the day or the tournament.
Yeah.
So, like Lucas was saying, it's very, very important that you're sequencing properly and working on your sequencing and continuing to work on your sequencing if you're trying to take your game to the next level. Like, absolutely. But yeah, next screenshot is just us passing the turn. We've got those 2 cards from Restart plus the 2 prize cards in our hand, and we have taken the knockout. My opponent after this shortly conceded, but yeah.
He was too mad that
yeah, he was. They sat there for about 20 seconds and then conceded with the no cards played. So correct sequencing, took the knockout, very likely won us the game, in which a game we would have lost. And Roaring Moon, I thought, was a really prime example of just a deck that turn 1 sequencing is hugely important because you're trying to attack turn 1. And with so many cards to discard with Ultra Balls, Concealed Cards, Earthen Vessels, there's just a lot of little decisions that you can make in different orders that could very, very much affect your win rate in your gameplay.
And I will say that sequencing, if people who are just learning to sequence or people that are, a bit new to it, will think that it's always going to be like this, and it's always super, super hard to think of, and it's always going to take
Hmm.
this long to make decisions. Eventually, the more you do it, the quicker your brain's going to be able to process, oh, I should, you know, use Earthen Vessel before this so that I can thin my deck out of energy cards so that my Pokestop has a
Right.
higher chance of hitting some items. That'll
Yeah,
be,
like that order of VIP pass and concealed card earlier, which is ultimately a very small difference, but playing the VIP pass before or after is going to affect the percentage of cards you see off those concealed cards. Uh, which again, small difference, but if I this game was able to draw a Pokemon off of my concealed cards because I didn't VIP, the turn could have gone even better. I mean, the turn ended up pretty well, but could have gone better.
yes, there was a higher chance
And then your
that,
sequencing is yeah, sequencing is going to change into different matchups too. Like there earlier, we would have played the cross switchers if, say, the Electrode was on the bench or something like that. Pretty obvious, but yeah. So that's the sequencing segment. That's going to be kind of our mid game or mid episode game per se. This is going to be every episode. We're going to be trying to pick a different deck each week. Maybe we won't just do turn ones if some decks are like Gardevoir is going to be like the crazy refinement, all this stuff. We can maybe look at different aspects of games, but I think this is a cool, unique thing that our podcast is going to be doing that is pretty informative. I think this a lot of people hopefully will find this quite helpful to their game.
yes. So, moving on, we would like to talk about, this is another idea that we've had, that is, we would like to compare and contrast Japanese deck lists to American online tournament deck lists.
Right. So what I've done is, I hope you guys appreciate this. I went through like probably like 50 or 60 City League tournaments, and I got the highest results of the most recent placement from City League. So, like example, this Roaring Moonless got first place in the Battleco Sapporo League, and it was the most recent best placing finish. And then I got the same thing with online results. I unfortunately forgot late night was happening last night, so I only updated, I think, Lugia and Mew because they got first and second, but there are going to be some different lists available because of late night, which is probably the biggest online tournament we've had in Paradox Rift so far. But anyways, this is top 11 decks because Mew is the 11th deck and I didn't want to skip it, of Trainer Hill's meta results in order with a Japanese deck list to the side of it. So,
I will say, big shout out to Landon for doing this week. We have decided that we are going to alternate. I promise you.
Yeah.
I promise
I could have done this more efficiently, but this total process of all these PowerPoints probably took me about 3 or 4 hours.
Yes.
But that's okay. We're doing it for the education. We're trying to help people get better at Pokemon trading cards.
Okay.
But anyways, we should probably talk about the lists instead of rambling here.
So, on the left we have a Battleco Sapporo Tenu Kikaji.
He's gonna try and pronounce each one.
Kikochi first place list. And on the right we have a Roaring Moon deck that came third out of 178 in the Tournament of Doom. So
Right. Biggest difference I see is the Bibarel. That's a big difference.
So the Japanese list played a 2-2 Bibarel line, didn't play Mew EX, and played one more Pico only. So.
Mm-hmm. And also notably is playing a Manaphy for whatever reason they chose that was relevant.
Oh, and also they do not play Luminion.
Right, no fish.
So first we'll talk
Still Squawk though.
Yeah, first we'll talk about the Pokemon for sure. So off of just the Pokemon, we can automatically tell that this deck is trying to be a bit turbo, but you know, you want your late games to have power too with your Bibarel.
Yeah, like they got Bibarels, they're playing double Ionos, they can kind of hand disrupt and still have a hand themselves. They're still playing cross switchers, Pokestops. And then contrasting it with our online tournament list here, like I haven't actually seen a list other than Japan. Scrolling through the city leagues, I did see quite a few people playing Bibarel, but our online tournament here, they're just playing the classic. They're playing Mew EX, they've got Luminion, more of a turbo build. They're not playing that 2-2 Bibarel. We're seeing 4 trekking shoes, which is a cool addition.
Yeah.
They're fitting a lot of cards in here. They've got 4 trekking shoes, 4 cross switcher, they got 4 energy switch, 4 dark patch. Also notably playing the water energies as well. Like I said, I don't think it's too niche anymore.
So,
yeah. Oh, no, there's jet energies in this Japanese list too.
So the Japanese list played 2 copies of jet energy. I think one of the main ways that the Tournament of Doom list was able to fit all of these cards was they do not play Ancient Booster Capsule.
So that's good. I did not notice that. Yeah, that's huge. I don't really like this Tournament of Doom list as much. I also don't know how much I like Bibarel. I'm really have really been happy with. I don't want to say I have the best list, but I've been really happy with how my list has been running. I definitely see how BBRL is good, but I don't think you really need it. Like restart has felt like enough of card draw for the deck because you already drawed so many other cards.
Yeah.
Um,
Restart's
but
really good.
it is really good. Like I forgot how good Oranguru was back then.
Yeah. For
It doesn't seem like
reference,
a lot drawing up to 3, but yeah.
it's so good. For reference, there used to be a
Mm-hmm.
card that I think came out in Sunderman base, and
It was on
it
movies, yeah.
was just it was a Rangaroo, and it just had the instructability, and it didn't have an insane attack like Mew EX, and it was played in
Mm-hmm.
almost every single deck.
Yeah, I mean, it also was a one prizer, so it was definitely more widespread that way. But free retreat plus a really good attack are things that Oranguru didn't have. I think it did like 3 for 60 plus 20 for each energy on their active, but nothing nearly as good as genome hacking. But yeah, I don't think we should spend too much time longer because we have so many lists to talk about. But I think it's valuable to compare Japanese lists with more Western style lists because they do have quite a bit of differences. Um, and then maybe one last thing I'll say before we move along the deck is just kind of my general impression of scrolling through all these city leagues was that Roaring Moon was not doing super well. I had to scroll quite a bit for this first place. I think this was the only first place since last Friday, which is when I started collecting data from, just to try and keep it more recent with our podcast because we started last Friday. This was the only first place list I could find since last Friday, and there's a lot of city leagues going on.
There's a lot of city leagues. Okay.
Yeah.
One more thing.
So next deck. Oh, never mind.
One more thing. I just want to mention that Japan's format is much different.
Not much different. I'm pretty sure we're the same now.
Not format. I mean, like the reason why they're playing some decks within the bigger tournaments they have is for the future with this segment. You guys are gonna want to keep in mind that Japan's big regionals, like regional events for us, are best of one. So they're
Best of
playing
1, 30 minutes, double game loss if you go to time. There's no ties.
Yes. So a lot of Japan lists for these huge events are very high rolly because you have to high roll in a best of one situation to win the tournament. So that's just for the future of this segment.
Yeah, just a good thing to think about when you're seeing differences because there is very much differences between Japanese and I don't want to say like North American lists because there's Europe and everywhere else. Basically non-TPC plays. But yeah, second most popular deck is going to be Excalibur.
Chen-Pao
Yeah.
Iron Hands. Okay. So first thing that we see between these two lists, or at least that I noticed, was that the Japan list only plays 3 Pokestops, and the Japan list also plays Boss's Orders in their Chen-Pao list.
Yeah, I like Boss. I really am a hater on these Chen Pao decks that are playing one counter catcher as their only gust, especially with Iron Hands, because Iron Hands really synergizes with Gust because you're able to boss the little guys and then take those extra prize cards. But if you're only having counter catcher and I guess rope as well, you're not picking what you're knocking out. You're just saying whatever you give me, basically. So I think that's quite a bit of anti-synergy with the Iron Hands, where I like seeing these bosses in this other list.
Oh yeah, and the Japan list also does not play a copy of Counter Catcher. That's a big difference for sure.
Yeah. So, I think Counter Catcher is good in the deck, but if it's your only gust, I'm not a huge fan.
I agree, because playing a Counter Catcher in the Japan list that we're currently looking at takes you from having 2 outs to gust to having 7 outs to gust because of Irida.
Yeah, because Irida finds the catcher, yeah. Which is awesome. That's the same how I was talking about how Arven is so good with the counter catchers in the Charizard deck. Arven/Irida are so nice with counter catcher. So nice. Yes.
And the Japan list also plays a Drapion V and
which Mew has been doing really well. And I see why. Like people are cutting Tombs, they're cutting Drapions. Roaring Moon is not even that bad of a matchup. And we'll take a look at some of the Mew lists later down the line here because it is on this presentation. But Mew is not gone. Mew won late night, right?
Yeah, Mew won late night. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Drapion and Mew or Spiritomb are going to be really important cards to be looking at. I've always been playing Spiritomb in my lists. Like I love playing Mew counters because everyone's always playing the game of, oh, should I play Mew counter? Should I not play Mew counter? I was always playing it because Mew is going to be good till the day it's gone. Like it rotates. It's never going to be bad.
I agree. So
play your Mew counters, guys. You heard it here.
Counters, yes.
Yeah.
By the way, I would like to mention the American list also only plays 1 copy of Lightning Energy.
Yes, I have seen that. I mean, I think you only ever want second lightning if you prize it, but prizing it and your iron hands being shut off is kind of lame.
And you
I
also have
think you'd want to maybe say your personal preference whether you like the one or two lightning,
yeah.
but you
It
have
depends on
earthen
how high
vessels to
roll you
find
want to
them.
be. It depends on how high roll you want to
Yeah,
be, because you also only play one iron hand, so there's a high chance you prize one of the pieces.
yeah, prize one of the pieces. I mean, if you're only playing one iron hands and you're playing two lightning, like what's the difference between playing two iron hands and one lightning at that point? So
That's true.
I don't know. These lists, I think my biggest comment on Chen Pao right now is you probably want a Mew counter because without it, the Mew matchup seems kind of rough, and you probably want to be playing more than one Gust card if you're playing Iron Hands. I also think it's very viable just to stay without Iron Hands, like with Counter Catcher, Canceling Clone. I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't still be trying that out as well. Like Iron Hands doesn't just automatically have to be in the deck. I think people are just assuming it's the best. I haven't really tested Chen Pao myself, but um, I don't think that playing straight back Excalibur is off the table at this point.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would say,
Okay.
off of a general guess, I would say Iron Hands will be better, but
Yeah,
we'll talk
definitely,
about
but I don't think you have to play it. But yeah, our third most popular deck is going to be Charizard.
yeah.
Let's see.
So
So the Japanese list is playing the Toad Scroll, like I was playing earlier.
yeah,
I think I got my list from Cash on Twitter. I don't know where he got his from, but I took it from him and then kind of changed it up. But I think his list also originated from Japan, so he might have even taken this as inspiration. But
yes. So the Japan list
what are our
plays the
differences here?
Heat Tackle Charmander, while the
Mm-hmm.
online list only plays the 4 steady fire breathing Charmander. It doesn't play
Yeah,
Split. That's a pretty big
yeah, I mean
difference.
that's not going to be like that is a big difference. I think that 2-1-1 Charmander split is probably optimal. Maybe 3-1, but you definitely do want a heat tackle at this point. The 60 HP one, the 30 damage for one is huge into Roaring Moon. One other comment I'd really like to talk about in Charizard is I don't understand why people are still playing Mew with the TM evolution. Because the thing with Mew is you have to attach, retreat into it, and then you're unable to use the evolution attack. Uh, which if your goal every turn one is to be going second and using TM evolution, I don't see why you want to be including the Mew because it's never going to be in the active unless you're benching it and using it as a pivot later in the game. But I guess maybe that's why they're playing these jet energies as well.
Yeah, yes. I think that there is definitely an argument to keep Mew, and there's definitely an argument not to keep Mew. Because Mew will help you when you don't hit the TM evolution, but I just don't
Mm-hmm.
understand why
We're going
Mew.
first as well.
Yeah, but yeah, it does give your first turns a lot more power. Like, if you aren't going first with Charizard currently, you're in a
Mm-hmm.
much worse situation because you can't Arven for your VIP pass
Yeah,
or
you're
evolution.
choosing going second at this point with this deck for sure.
Yeah,
Other meaningful thing I'd like to say is the uh, online list is playing Energy Search, which I've really been kind of thinking about in my list as well. I've noticed that I've actually Forest Seal Stone for Fire Energy like quite frequently turn one to get the TM off. But if you're just playing Energy Search, being able to Arvin for the Energy Search is really valuable. And then this might be the only deck Energy Search is better than Earthen Vessel. But you're only ever using it for one energy because you're using Infernal Rain to charge up your guys later, anyways. So you actually don't want the energies in your hand; you want them in your deck. Um, but other than that, I think the biggest differences are probably Toad Scroll versus no Toad Scroll.
yeah,
I am still gauging whether I want Toad Scroll or not. Without the Toad Scroll, your Chen Pao matchup is horrendous. With it, it's probably good if you can set it up and keep it in play. But
yeah. One more
other than
thing
that,
I'd like
yeah,
to
they're both
mention.
playing. Sorry, go ahead.
One more thing I'd like
Oh,
to
this
mention. Oh yeah.
isn't playing count. Oh, it's one counter catcher instead of two. Two counter catcher in your Charizard list for sure, I think.
Two counter catcher is so good. If you're playing counter catcher,
Yeah.
you gotta be playing Delphox V. I'm on the Delphox
Mm-hmm.
train for sure. I think I'm
Oh yes, that's a big difference from my list earlier, at least. But
yes. I'm gonna disagree with Landon on not playing Mew. I think Mew is still a worthwhile addition to the deck
okay, I like
because
that. I like your disagreeing.
a lot of decks do choose to go second within this format. So if you're going second,
It's true.
if you're going first with Charizard without a Mew, your first turns are so weird. Like, you have to hit everything for it not to be like oh, geez, I'm going first. Guess I have like a 20% lower chance to win the game now.
Yeah.
Now,
No, I could see that. Like if you're because I'm more so just assuming you're going second every time because people are going to be wanting to go first. But no, there are other decks that want to go second now as well. That's a big change with Paradox Rift. Is going second is optimal with a lot of things. So
Yeah.
having that going first option of Mew is nice for sure. And then only other thing that I think I had something I wanted to mention here.
Double
I
rare
forget.
candy?
That's fine.
There was
It
a
can't be
rare
that
candy
important.
difference within the deck.
Oh, there's one rare candy in the English list and 2 rare candies. I'm a 3 rare candy fan. I cut down to 2 Charmeleon as well. Reason being is I was very often finding I was just TM evolutioning for Charmeleon plus Bibarel, and then I'd have rare candies to carry me through the rest of the game because I was playing 3, which I was found that was really working well for me. I didn't find any hiccups in setting up Charizards throughout the game unless I was super dead drawing. But 1 rare candy seems incredibly suspect.
Yeah.
2 seems suspect already, but I don't think you should be playing 1 rare candy.
Yeah. I think
But anyways, I think
definitely good.
that's probably good enough for
Yes.
Charizard for now, I think.
That's a
Yeah.
lot of Charizard gaming. Okay. So,
We have Tina!
we have Tina! Wow, crazy.
Everyone loves to hate on Tina. I mean, it's clunky, but Counter Catcher is a huge addition for this deck. Like, I remember we talked about this last week a little bit. Like, we were playing Tina at the beginning of this format with cross switchers, which felt really good. But Counter Catcher is just cross switcher as 1 card, which is so sick.
That's
Being able to hand disrupt plus path plus Counter Catcher, knockout. Or a really big play with this deck is to Roxanne path, Counter Catcher, like something like a Bibarel or whatever, and then Lost Mine the bench. Because you're putting them down to 1 or 2 cards, pathing them, knocking out the bench Pokemon, and then they're stuck with something. So they have to hit switch, plus energies, plus maybe the attacker, plus maybe the boss. Like, they've got to hit so much with that added Counter Catcher. That was a huge play with the cross switchers. Yeah,
Yeah.
was one of the biggest aspects of that
Your
deck.
play in the Lost Box with Giratina was to go, Roxanne, Cross Switcher, Sableye, Psychic Energy, Lost Mine. Hope they just are like, oh, guess I die now.
Yeah.
And then you win the game. Yeah.
Yeah,
such
that's
a good
the-
play.
A lot of the time what Tina does. You're trying to catch up. Counter Catcher is probably one of the best cards to catch up with, maybe second to Iono. Yeah, it's huge. Differences between this list, maybe 3 Jet in the Japanese list.
And
Meh.
4 Jet.
4 Jet every time.
4 Jet
Yeah, you
so
should
good.
be playing 2 Water before you're playing 3 Jet for sure.
Oh yeah.
And then we're seeing 1 Roxanne, 2 Iono versus 2 Iono versus 1 Roxanne. I think that's a bit of a
Both lists play
small
both lists
difference.
Play that. Both
I
lists-
do like 3 hand disruption supporters.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that's good.
I've gone down to 2 in the past in my list,
I know
but
that-
I think 3 is nice now.
I know that right now. My Tina list for I think the entire time I played it was just no Iono, 2 Roxanne. Well,
Yeah, same. I played the format, but with the cross switcher list, it was so tight that I think I cut it for something else.
same thing with me. Yeah, I played it at the beginning, but then I cut Iono, and I was like, okay, I think this is good. I actually ended up just really being fine with double Roxanne because it offered me more space to play, the cross switchers.
Yeah.
And everything like that.
hmm
So,
And then I think the only other thing I'd like to mention is only playing 4 switch cards in
the Japan list.
the Japanese list. There's 2 rope, 2 switch card. I think you could very easily cut the 4th Tina V for another switch card. I don't think you need 4 Tina V ever. 3 is definitely enough. If anything, you'd be playing 4th V Star because you don't play Ultra Balls.
Yes.
But definitely you're not playing 4-3 Tina line.
Yeah, 3-14 line's probably better. But,
Yeah, but even I'm playing 3. You're 3-3 totally fine. You do not need 3-4 or 4-3 or anything. That's never been something I've wanted, but
I will say one more. The Japanese list does not
Oh,
play
and 4
Manaphy.
path.
The Japanese list does not play Manaphy, and the American list does.
I've never played Manaphy and Tina. I don't think you really need it. I like a lot of time when they shuriken, you just respond with Roxanne Lost Mine, and that was your Manaphy.
That's what I
But 4 path is also, I think, really excessive. I don't think you need 4 path. I think 2 path is probably enough. 3 path is a high number.
I think 3 path is good, man. I think 3 path.
I like 3 path as well, but I definitely think you could get away with 2. I know we played 2 in our list for a long time, but anyways, I think that's enough on Tina. We've got a couple more decks to go through, and we're running out of time. So
We like Giratina. Goldango!
We do. And this deck is trash.
No. I will say I think it is a bit overhyped, but it's a good deck. It's a good deck.
Goldango is by far my least favorite meta deck right now. I think this deck is awful. That's my take. If you're bringing Goldango to LEIC, you're probably not doing well. That's my take.
Jeez.
Anyway, sorry, maybe that was too brutal, but
Jeez. Okay. So
in this Japanese list, this third place. Keep in mind, there was 0 first place placements for Goldengo, so that really is helping back up my claim that Goldengo's trash. But 2-2 Scizor, I think, is really important.
Yes.
Like, the reason I'll explain why I think Goldengo's so bad. Maybe I'll do that instead of just saying it's bad.
Yeah.
It's just a 2-prize beat stick deck with no other tricks. Like, it's like Chen-Pao. Chen-Pao has Radiant Greninja. You can attack with Baxcalibur. With these 2-prize beat stick decks, you need a 1-prizer to offset the trade. You're not going to win the game by going 2-2-2.
Baxcalibur Greninja is like the best part of Chen-Pao.
Oh, yeah. Without Greninja, Baxcalibur Chen-Pao sucks. Like, Greninja's huge. It's your card draw. It's a snipe. It's so good. But not having access to that, like, your 1-prize option is Scizor. Scizor's a good Pokemon, but I'd rather just be playing a Scizor deck than a Goldango deck at this point.
Scizor is a very good Pokemon. I want to talk about that a little bit more. Scizor is insanely good because it takes... Oh, okay. It is a very good card into decks that have high ability counts, obviously. But some of those decks are, Chen-Pao. You're scissoring and you're...
Metal weakness! Metal weakness!
Yeah, you're killing the Chen-Pao with your scissor, and you're ending up winning the prize race because they have to deal with the scissor. And if they don't deal with the scissor, they just collapse. They literally just have a heart attack and spontaneously combust if they do not deal with
and the only way for them to KO the scissor is with Chen-Pao, because it has 140 hit points.
Yeah.
Baxcalibur only does 130, so they have to kill it with a Chen-Pao, and then you're just like, scissor again!
Yeah.
But this isn't a scissor deck. I think the 2 Scizor is great. Like, you always need to put 1 Scizor in play, and playing a 1-1 line is you're going to whiff part of your game plan that you need every time.
Very suspect.
Super suspect. I'm not a huge fan of 1-1. But Goldango, I think, is like the worst 2-prize beat stick deck. It's not like Roaring Moon, where Roaring Moon can attack going second, so that's why you play Roaring Moon. It's way more aggressive. Goldango just feels like the same as Roaring Moon, Miraidon, Chen-Pao, just without the extra trick that all those decks have. It doesn't have the turn 1 aggression, it doesn't have the spread, it doesn't have the path plus judge combos that Miraidon has access to. I just don't think there's any reason for you to actually play Goldango.
So there was 2 more things I would like to mention with these Goldango lists. The first one is that the Japanese list plays...
Maybe we're supposed to be comparing lists. I'm just bashing Chen-Pao.
Yeah. The Japanese list plays 450 HP Gimme Ghouls, which is the... So, okay. The big difference is that there are 2 Gimme Ghouls in format. One of them has 70 HP and has a 1 colorless attack that does 20 damage for each heads you flip in a row. And then, And then the 50 HP one...
It also has 2 retreat costs. I think you said that, but...
Does it have 2 retreat? Yeah, it does have 2 retreat. And then...
It has 2 retreat. Yeah.
The 50 HP Gimme Ghoul has Call for Family, which is by far and away the best basic, attack that you can have on your basic Pokemon that you're going to evolve is Call for Family. Call for Family is so good. You search your deck for a basic Pokemon and you put it on the bench. And it also has 1 retreat. So the Japanese list opted to play 4 Gimme Ghouls with 50 HP, while the American...
I think 50 HP is probably the better Gimme Ghoul, yeah.
Yeah, because there's just so much upside to it. And then the American...
Yeah, if you're really worried about the HP, you just play Jirachi, yeah.
Yeah. And then the American list played 3 70 HP Gimme Ghouls and 1 50 HP Gimme Ghoul. So that's a really big difference.
Yeah, just wrapping up the contrast, the Japanese list is playing Pokestop, Cross Switcher. They're also playing Triple Avery, Triple Worker, which is interesting supporter lineup. And then we've got Pokestops in the other list as well, but they're playing Arvin's Double Worker. They're also playing a Turo, which I think is a really big addition.
Yeah.
The only way I think Goldango sees play is if you're playing Turos, because you're able to buy back a turn somewhat mid-game. Let the Goldango take a hit, Turo it, present another Goldango. But I don't think that Goldango does anything without a trick like that. You need some way to catch up as a 2-prize beat stick deck, and Goldango does not have that.
Yes.
But anyways, I think we can move past Goldango with that.
Yeah, make your cheese stick bulky. Okay. So.
And then we have Miraidon.
So Miraidon won the Dragonstar Akihabara Station Store City League, which, by the way, I went to Dragonstar Akihabara Station Store when I was in Tokyo, and I went up one of the floors, and I got to play against the locals because they were holding a tournament. It was awesome.
That's sick.
I played
That is
played
awesome.
Mew with delivery drone because in Japan, cramomatics aren't easily accessible. So I flipped.
Are they like $80? Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
insane.
flipped 2 heads on delivery drone. Oh, it was
What
so
does that card
cool.
even do? I don't even know what delivery drone does.
It's flip 2 coins. If both are heads, search your deck for a card and put it in your hand.
Oh, that's awful. Wow.
Yeah.
But let's see. What's some differences here? The Japanese list is playing Tapu Koko EX, which I think is a cool catch-up mechanism.
Yes.
It's 2 energy, 30 plus 90 if you... Oh,
Oh.
30 plus 90 if you were knocked out, and then it auto paralyzes them. So the idea is you can go Path plus Judge or Iono, and then stick them with the paralysis, and you can kind of buy it back a turn there.
Oh, boy.
And then maybe you could even follow up with an Iron Hands attack if you're able to get that many energy in play, of course, just to take the extra prize cards or whatever. But I think that's a cool mid-game addition. Anything else? They're playing the one of Iron Hands, Double Turbo.
I would like to mention that they do play the Future Booster Capsule for their Iron Hands.
They do play the Future Booster Capsule.
I think we should be exploring Booster Capsule in Iron Hands decks because you're automatically taking 3 prizes on a Lugia and then forcing them to hit you with something that isn't a Lugia.
Yeah.
It's like, because Iron Hands is 230 HP. It's like my Entei talk with earlier on in the episode. If they can't attack with the Lugia,
yeah, they basically have to respond with Radiant Zard at that point, right?
Yeah. And then they're losing the Radiant Zard for later on in the game. Capsule also lets you hit Knockout into Pidgeotty X, Knockout into Palkia V-Star, which, I mean, Palkia V-Star isn't that big right now, but it's okay.
No, the 140 is a way better number. Kill Scizor as well.
Ooh, Goldango's
Broken.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I would like to mention that the list on the left does not play Flying Pikachu V or Squawkabilly.
Oh, no free retreater at all, or Squawk. Interesting.
Wait, there's Tapu Koko? Okay, wait, I have
Tapu Koko for retreat?
I have to look this up.
Can you look up if Tapu Koko has for retreat? I don't know.
Tapu Koko.
There is no chat, Lucas. Comment section. We're talking to the comment section.
Comment section. It has 1 retreat cost.
Okay. Yeah, so no free retreater is kind of whack. I do like having access to free retreat. Playing a Tool Jammer, I'm not sure what that would be good for right now. For Booster Capsule, I guess.
If you Booster Capsule a Roaring Moon, they have 290 HP, and then if you Jammer a Miraidon plus a Zapdos, you're killing it. With the Capsule.
Oh yeah, I'm just thinking, like, why would that be better than Vacuum, though? Because you're not playing any way to search tools. I guess no, because you're playing Arven, but it's only one of Arven. I was expecting with this list, when I saw the Tool Jammer, to maybe be playing like 2 or 3 Arvens, especially with the Future Booster.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the English list we've got here, they're not really playing anything special. Pretty cookie cutter list, just playing an Iron Hands in what looks to be
a very
pre-Paradox Rift list. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very
so, and I'd also like to shout out Ploopies, because they're the one that got first place. That was their username. I thought it was funny. Ploopies. I put it all caps. Put it all caps because I thought it was funny.
Is a W name for sure.
Shout out Ploopies. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What do we got next?
Okay. We have Gardevoir. So,
Gardevoir's
by the way,
good.
shout out to City League Business Trip Kyoto. That's just a sick store name. Business Trip. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that. I just copy pasted the title description off of Pokekeka book or whatever it's called. I'll leave the link to the website we used in the comments or the description.
Yes, it lets the people who are in relationships say, "I'm going to business trip. I'm going to a business trip."
That's right. Yeah, honey, I'm going to a business trip in Kyoto. That's right.
It's sick. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I'm seeing is Screamtail. I saw in the late night that Celio's network was playing Screamtail plus 1 of Cape. That is really good, I think.
Yeah.
Just as a 1 combination. Being able to literally snipe anything for what? You can unlimited damage at that point. Like, what do you cap at? Plus 82
damage.
Yeah, that's insane. 360 snipe. Gardevoir just doesn't need boss on the last turn anymore. Like, you have to bench Manaphy against Gardevoir. Otherwise, they just take the last 2 prize cards, regardless of the boss. And I think that's kind of reflected in this Kyoto list. They also have the Moonlight Hill, which is busted in Guardy, which I don't think you even need the cape if you have the hill, right?
Because you go. Who doesn't know? Moonlight Hill is a card that we were
so busted.
Thinking that people were thinking we were going to get in Paldea Evolved. We didn't end up getting Paradox Rift, same thing. I think we may eventually get the Moonlit Hill, but it is a stadium that you may discard a psychic energy from your hand once during your turn and heal 30 damage from each of your psychic Pokemon.
It's so busted in Guardy. It's insane. It's so busted.
Yeah, because it lets
You get to
your
discard an extra card, heal to 30. It's like when people are playing Champs Festival. It's like Champs Festival, but like
way better.
actually so good. So good. But
Because
anyways, I think
I would like to
they're
mention,
playing.
I would like to
Go ahead.
mention that healing an odd number is absolutely humongous. Healing,
Yeah, it's
because
plus.
let's say I have 6 energy on my Gardevoir Second Embrace. I'm at 120 damage on it. I Moonlit Hill, and then I'm going down to 90, which allows me to attach 2 more energies. It's super sick. But
It's so much. It's like an extra reversal energy almost. Like it's so good with the Shiner Arcana and the Screamtail, and also just like against. Maybe this is why we're seeing no Jirachi in these Japanese lists, is they can heal the damage from the play so easily because it's each Pokemon. It's like Roaring Seas, or what's the most Crystal Cave? I guess would be a better example for Psychics, but you did to get the upside of also discarding an energy. So,
yeah,
and then with this English list here, this looks like pretty much Gardevoir P Paradox Rift with 2 counter catchers.
this is
No
cookie
Screamtail.
cookie.
Yeah. Uh,
This is a very max
yeah.
consistency list. The Japanese list was
Yeah, which I like.
Yeah, max consistency guard is cool. The Japanese list was playing 3 Level Ball, 3 Ultra Ball, 2 Fog Crystal, and the American list was playing, well, not American, James Cox is, I think, Filipino now.
Oh, did he move to the Philippines? I thought he was from Australia.
Yeah, he moved to the Philippines. Okay, whatever.
Well,
James Cox plays a 4th Level Ball, a 4th Ultra Ball, and 2 more Fog Crystal. So
yeah.
Very
Also, notably, neither of these lists have chose to play TM Evolution, which I know a lot of people were thinking about just staying with the Mirage Step like we were before.
I think
But yeah. Yeah, I'm not. I haven't tried the TM Evolution, but I don't think you really hugely need it. I know if you're looking for a TM Evolution deck, Omnipoke just posted a list and video, so check him out. Omnipoke's the GOAT.
By the way, I want to mention why Mirage Step might be better than it, because so you're gonna get knocked out most likely. You're gonna go down to 5 prizes, and then you're gonna Mirage Step. Then they're gonna take a knockout on the Mirage Step. You're gonna be at 4 prizes. So then you can go Gardevoir, Reversal Energy, KO. You're at 4 prizes. They're at 4 prizes. But then they take a knockout, and then it lets you Reversal Energy Gardevoir again. So it's effectively letting you use Reversal Energy twice within 2 turns.
Yeah.
It's really strong, for sure.
I agree.
I think that's all we have to really mention through this list.
Yeah, we should I've got this room for another 20 minutes, so we've got to get going through the decks here.
Oh no. I would like to say that
I get kicked out in 20 minutes, so that's a hard cap for me.
Jeez, okay. I would like to say that Japanese list plays Zinnia's Resolve. Next deck list.
Turbo? We're gonna rush through not rush this Turbo. I think the better Lost Stone deck is the next slide. What I did here, these were the highest placing traditional Dragonite Turbo lists. They're both playing, or the Japanese is playing Iron Hands, which I like as an addition. But I think a better Lost Stone deck has eclipsed this, maybe. But we'll talk about this one first. The Japanese list is playing Avery's, playing a Town Store, playing Iron Hands, some Bravery Charms as well. So pretty interesting list. Only one Sableye. Triple Vacuum, double Counter Pitcher.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you want double Sableye.
Why do you still play 3 Psychic?
One Sableye is whack. I don't know. But Avery, I think, is a cool option because you're able to try and punish people for going Manaphy Jirachi bench, so they have to either discard the Pokemon they want and play or the support Pokemon that they're forced to have against you. And then, the Averys are cool. And then the English list here is pretty much just straight Turbo. Like, there's not even a new card in it. But shout out to Master Labui. If this is the Labui, I think it is. Labui is the GOAT. So I suggest checking out Labui if you haven't yet done so. So next deck we got. This is the Roaring Moon Lost Box.
I don't know, man. I've heard a lot of people say this deck's fake.
Nah, I was thinking about it today. I think Roaring Moon is just like Dragonite, but better. It has 230 hit points. It's not a V, so you can't Choice Belt kill it. The 230 on a basic EX is way better than 230 on basic V. And you hit 220 for 3, which is Zamazenta, so 220 is a good number, and then you're just always KOing something. So with Dragonite, you have to set things up with Lost Spine first, whereas Roaring Moon, you're just like, goodbye, see you later. And then you can follow up with sweeping the rest of the board. Yeah, you're Frenzy Gouging it. So it saves you Sableye spreads, so it can be like your last attack. Like very often, Dragonite would take your last 2 prizes or something like that. And instead, you just they're dead. You don't have to
Yeah.
set up anything.
I would also like to
And
mention.
then
I would also like to mention that you don't put damage on your bench, which allows for less combo
yes,
sequences to
yeah.
kill you. Because I know Arceus decks would combo with Alakazam Dura a lot of the time to get
Hmm.
rid of your Dragonite. They can't do that with Roaring Moon anymore.
No, like the Roaring Moon, probably way better in the Arceus decks because you just don't care about the V-Guard energy on them. They can't choice belt to 30U, so against something like the Ardura deck we played to Toronto, we have no way to kill the Roaring Moon in one turn. Like the Roaring Moon is there; it's
Yeah,
not going anywhere.
it's
So
there. It's set up
yeah,
behind
we
you.
also were seeing the counter catchers in Lost Box. We saw 2 counter catchers in those previous lists as well. So I think that might be a mainstay going forward. And we're also seeing an amount of Path to the Peak with these. I like that, like combining this kind of like how Tina V Star does it. They go Roxanne Path, Star Requiem, where we can kind of do like Roxanne Path plus Frenzied Gouging, like a similar thing.
Yes, I think this deck list
So
is very sick. I
yeah,
am
I think people should really be looking at Roaring Moon Lost Box. I think it's a very promising Lost Box archetype and might be going better than traditional Turbo going forward. I'm definitely going to be trying this out this
I will
week
be
for
trying
sure.
this out for sure too. I think
So what
my
we
two
got?
decks that I'm trying out
What
is
do we got next here, Lucas?
Snorlax Stone.
Oh, Snorlax Stall. This also did very well in late night. The English list is from my friend Brandon, who played something similar to the one I gave him, and he did well a couple days ago in Deck Out. But if you're looking for a more updated Snorlax list, uh, those are going to be on the late night results. I think the guy that he was playing Carabominal V plus a Water Energy. I disagree with that. I mean, it's nice to get the last 2 mil, but you're not mid game like you are with Chandelure because you need Snorlax in the active. Chandelure lets you keep Snorlax in the active, where Snorlax, or sorry,
Where
what is it?
Crabominable doesn't let you keep
Carabominable
it in the
does not let you do that. But
still sick.
also, this Japanese list is kind of bad. I'm not gonna lie. This
What?
was the highest placing one, was top 16. He's playing Pokemon catchers. This is terrible.
Oh yeah, okay. I would not
Yeah,
play Pokemon
he's
catcher on
also
this list.
no. You're definitely not playing Pokemon catcher. You're playing counter catchers. He's also playing the lure module,
You know what
which
that
can be a
does,
sick tech
Landon?
against. Yeah, it's each player reveals the top 3 cards of their deck and puts all the Pokemon cards they found there and shuffles the rest back. So
Sick.
against things like Pidgeot V, if your opponent's playing that, you can lure module with just their Pidgeot V in deck and deck them out. But if they know you're playing it, they can do other cool things. But it also
Yeah.
works well with Erica's too.
I'll be
But I don't
honest.
think you play lure module.
I thought you were hating on their list because you saw Lure module and you were like, "What is that?" I'm gonna be
No.
honest.
I was just hating on it because they're playing Pokemon catchers. I just think
Yeah,
this list is actually not good because
unideal.
counter catcher is just 2 Pokemon catchers.
Yeah, it's so.
But yeah, shout out Brandon. Took the list that I sent him and changed it a little bit to his liking. Playing Avery. I don't think I'm playing Avery. I've cut Sydney at this point. He's also not playing the Cape, which I think is better than the 4th Charm.
It's so strong.
So
Luxurious Cape is really
yeah,
good because it just means that there's like almost nothing in the format that can OHKO you, and
250 hit point Snorlax.
it's so good.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, Snorlax Stall is great. Look at all the lists from late night if you want more updated. I didn't have time to change the list over. Plus, I wanted to show out my boy Brandon's deck. And look out, I'll put Brandon's Twitter as well as Shin's Twitter in the comments because we talked a lot about Snorlax and they've definitely contributed to the list. So,
Shout out to Brandon
next
for giving
deck.
us a place to stay in San Antonio.
Yes, we're staying with Brandon in San Antonio. Next up is Lugia. There's going to be 3 Lugia lists. Just because the last slide is the late night list. The best placing Lugia list I found in Japan was Single Strike, which is cool.
Sick. I like that. So
No Evil Tall is kind of whack.
yeah, I would agree. Double Stonejourner is probably not needed. I would play a Veltal over that. But
Yeah, I agree.
this list, they are playing the Cobalion in the Single Strike 60 because of how big and how good Charizard is within this meta. Charizard is so strong within this meta. Like, you guys, anyone listening, I would encourage you to try it. I'm going to be trying it this week. Or well, I'll try it.
Charizard's sick.
There's not a 100% chance I try it, but I want to try it for sure because it's so sick. It's just a tanky thing that plays 2
Yeah.
So it's,
My testing this week will be somewhat limited because I'm not home, but I will try my best to run some games as well. But
yes. I will mention that this list on the left does play Tower of Darkness, which was never a normal.
yeah, that's kind of whack.
They also play 2
No, I think
Vitality.
definitely worse than Mesagoza.
Yeah.
I think you can get away with 2 Earn, but you need 3 Earn if you're playing Cobalion because you're planning on going Tyranitar to Tyranitar, and with only 2 urns, the odd that you have to like research it away or you mill it off of Single Strike Crush or something like that is pretty high.
Or you just hit
So I
it
think
with a
triple urn. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely possible with the 2 urns, but if you're playing Cobalion, I definitely think you need 3 urns because there's no point in really playing Cobalion with 2 urn. And then I think Mezigos is better than Tower. And other than that, this list looks fine. 4 Jet is kind of interesting in Single Strike.
They're working Snorlax stall, man.
Yeah, they're checking for Snorlax for sure. But then we're looking at this
On the right.
Blazy 36s on the right. This, I think, is... Maybe we can just skip to the next slide, actually. Because I think the better Lugia list is next.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
This was outdated. Sorry, Blazy's 36. Good job at Hoarders, but...
Good job at Hoarders, you did well. Day camp.
Yeah, this is the second at late night. But
this list is sick.
Colorless Lugia incorporating basic energies to attack with better Pokemon, which is sick. We see the water energy, which I really like. The water energy, the lightning energy to attack with Iron Hands, and then the fire lets you attack with Combustion Blast sooner, which is so nice because being able to 250 when they're like 2 prize cards for 3 energies is still really good. But Luminous only lets you do it at 2 prizes because it has to be your only energy.
Because it has to be your only special energy, yes. So what I would like to mention...
but I think this is probably how you move with this deck going forward.
I would like to mention that to anyone who's confused, Earthen Vessel is how you pull this all off. To anyone who's like just listening
yes.
and they haven't picked up everything, Earthen Vessel is the most broken card we have seen within this new set. It's so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Because you discard Archeops off Earthen Vessel, and then you search for the lightning energy and the fire energy, or lightning energy and the water energy. So then you amp you very much with the Iron Hands EX, which is the second attack that does 120 for 4 energy and takes extra prize. You guys have probably heard that. And then you go Radiant Zard on the next turn, fire energy, jet into the Radiant Zard, kill 250. I've taken 4 prizes with 2 Pokemon, and I've given up 3 prizes. It's so sick. Earthen Vessel is such a good card. Oh my god. It's absolutely amazing.
Letting you discard the Archeops as well is super, super nice. And then, I just think this is how Colorless Zard will probably be moving forward. Like, I think the basic energies plus Earthen Vessel is probably what you're doing. Interesting things in this list. We see the Vacuum, which I'm not sure what that's really for. Maybe an extra path bump, but it's not like you have to discard Parasol Octara anymore.
Yeah.
I also think a quick, really nice change I'd like to make to this list is cut the 3 Nest Ball and the 3rd Lugia V-Star with 4/4 Great Ball. I've really liked Great Balls in Colorless Lugia. I think it really adds to your consistency. Being able to, in addition to the Earthen Vessel, find more Archeops to discard with those Great Balls. I think they're just better than Nest Ball in the deck.
So good, man. Something I've never tried.
Yeah, lets you hit your V-Star, lets you hit your Archeops, let you hit the Luminous sign. And then the only thing I'd really like to mention in this list before we move on is the Drapion, which is smart. Still lost to Mew in finals, but they are playing a Mew tech. I think Colorless Lugia was playing Drapion already, but I think you should be playing Drapion for sure.
You should be playing Mew. One more thing I'd like to mention is that this list plays 2 Snorlax, but only 1 therapeutic energy.
I think that's fine. You have 4 Jets, so most of the time your Snorlax is dying after hitting anyways, so I think the 1 therapeutic's plenty with the 4 Jet energies.
Wait, my bad.
Wrong way. So we're going to the next deck. We've got our last deck is Mew. Mew is very good. We see 2 first places here. And one thing I'd really like to mention, when I was scrolling through these City League lists, there was a lot of Mew Genesect as first place. This deck is doing really well in Japan.
It's also doing really good in online. It won Tournament of Doom.
Yeah, it's doing really well here. Yeah, like this deck is awesome, especially when people are thinking, oh, Mew sucks because of Roaring Moon. Well, Roaring Moon's actually kind of a good matchup if you're playing the right way. But people are cutting Spiritomb and Drapions. Yeah. So, this deck is sick. It's still consistent.
While the matchup might seem bad, you can choose to go second into Roaring Moon with Fusion Mew. Because you just have to high roll at this point. And then you go, first Meloetta is your knockout. Because they can't knock out on the first one. So you go Elisa Sparkle, Fusion Energy, Power Tablet, kill a Roaring Moon. Okay? They take a knockout in return. You respond with a Mew. And then you're at 2 prizes. They're at 2 prizes after killing the Mew VMAX. They're at 2 prizes. And then you get the final kill. So you end up winning the prize race.
Yeah, but the only way, Lucas, I remember we were testing this week, this matchup, and you were able to kind of counteract that by having Greninja on the bench and then passing by switching into another 1 prizer, like your Morpeko. And then the escape rope stopped me. Like, I couldn't escape rope you into a 2 prizer to take that knockout. The previous list I had before I changed this last minute to this late night first was playing Pokemon catchers, which I think is an interesting way to kind of counteract that. You're able to just play catcher and catcher up the two prizer, and can maybe even sell yourself some power tablets. And Pokemon Catcher's been in Mew in the past, but I think that might be something really.
It's so high roll.
It is, but if that's how you beat Roaring Moon, then you have to play it. Because with me playing that matchup versus you, there was no way I ever won if you did that. One prizer in the active, one prizer in the bench. I could never win the prize trade.
Because then your rope would only hit a one prizer, man?
Yeah, I'd be at one prize by the time you won. So, other notable things in these.
Wait, Landon.
Yeah.
In that situation, you could have just kept a Meloetta in the active and just prayed that I didn't hit boss so that you could ice Q a Squawkabilly for 160. But no, yeah. It's super difficult.
But I'd be down fusion energies, though. You'd kill my fusion energies, so it wouldn't work.
You would have to not attack with Meloetta. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah. No, but that's
so good.
Yeah. But anyways, Mew is very strong. Mew has been being strong forever. If you think Mew is going to fall off ever, you're probably wrong. So you should be playing Spiritomb or Drapion in your deck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that kind of wraps up most of what we were talking about, doesn't it?
I want to say one more thing. Chala Zamorano's 60 played a Crystal Cave in it.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal Cave is super good into Lost Box, because if Lost Box doesn't have two
seen people play it.
Yeah, if Lost Box doesn't have Mutex, then the matchup just becomes like, I'm going to switch card all of the damage you're doing with my Lost Minds off, I'm going to Crystal Cave, and then I'm going to Psychic Leap. And then Lost Mind just doesn't do enough damage. I mean, Lost Box just doesn't do enough damage to be able to deal with Mew that effectively.
If people are not playing Mutex, Mew's going to win, because Mew is probably in a vacuum the most powerful deck you could be doing, just because it draws so many cards. I wouldn't say ever seen, but one of the most powerful, intrinsically powerful decks we've ever seen. But then you start playing against the Drapions and the Spiritombs, and you start seeing the downfalls. But if people aren't playing those cards, then you're probably playing one of the best decks in the room, as long as you're not hitting things like Charizard or whatever. But
yeah, Charizard matchup.
Yeah, don't be sleeping on your Fusion Mews, guys. Also, I think Double Turbo Mew is dead because Roaring Moon. You can't keep up anymore.
You just cannot keep up with Roaring Moon.
But and then I had a couple cool lists at the end here. This was just because I know you were going to be talking about the Entei Iron Valiant. But I'm going to get kicked out of this room here, so I've got to be wrapping stuff up. Let's do a little outro here.
Okay, well, so Iron Valiant Entei won. Top 8 at Kyoto. Honey, I'm going to the business.
I talked about Serena last week. I wanted to throw it in there. This is a quick Serena list. Playing some Hisuian Braviaries. And then this was you can go to the next one. And then I just threw Sablezard in because I know you were playing Sablezard this week, and I know you were going to be talking about it. Yeah, this list isn't playing Jirachi double mana fee, but
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're there. We can just leave this up. That is the end of the second episode of the Lost Mine podcast. We didn't say this last week, but subscribe, especially if you want to talk about how you would sequence that turn earlier in the episode differently. Please leave a comment. If you're on Spotify, please leave us a review. And next week, unless Lucas, you have anything to say, you'll be seeing us on Friday.
Yes, I will be seeing you guys next week along with Landon. You have been listening to the Lost Mine Pokemon Trading Card Game Podcast. Hope you guys had a good time listening, and we will see you all next week.
See ya.